Starseed of Gaia, you are receiving this because your system is ready. Your vessel is undergoing a precise cellular recalibration in this moment, not by force, but by alignment. I am Anya, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. What follows is a direct transmission from the Arcturian Council, delivered without distortion. Before we go deeper, let me say this clearly. What you've been feeling is not a failure of your mind or body. What you are experiencing is not personal chaos. It is structural change. Starseed. Pause right here. Don't scroll. Don't rush. Because what you are sensing in your field right now is not coincidence, and it is not merely emotion. It is recognition. Something in you responded the moment your awareness met this frequency. And that response wasn't mental. It wasn't logical. It was cellular. Like a part of your body whispered, "Finally. This is the language I remember." You may think you simply found a video, but the Arcturian Council does not work through accidents. This transmission is arriving at the exact moment your nervous system is ready to hold a higher coherence without collapsing into overwhelm. The fatigue you've been carrying, the strange heaviness that comes and goes, the way your energy shifts around certain people, the nights when your mind is quiet, yet your body won't rest. These are not random symptoms. They are signs of an inner upgrade trying to complete. And here is the tension you've been living with. You've been functioning like a normal human in a world that rewards numbness, while your system has been built for sensitivity, perception, and multidimensional awareness. You have felt too much for too long. You have carried invisible weight that other people can't even name. And part of you has wondered if you're broken. You're not broken. You're activating. Because when an Arcturian-linked starseed begins to come online, life doesn't always get calmer first. Sometimes it gets louder internally. The old coping mechanisms start failing. The distractions stop working. The false identities begin peeling away. And that is exactly why you're here. Because you are entering the phase where the mask no longer protects you. It only blocks you. In this transmission, you will recognize the real reason you've been exhausted, the real reason you've been too aware, and the real reason certain cycles refuse to repeat in your life no matter how hard the matrix pushes. By the end, you won't just feel comfort. You'll feel orientation. You'll understand what's happening to your body, your intuition, your relationships, and your path. Stay with me, because the moment you fully understand what the Arcturians are revealing now, you will stop interpreting your sensitivity as weakness, and you will start using it as precision. There is a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. You know it. You can rest, you can cancel plans, you can try to take it easy, and still your body feels like it's been running all night. That's because it has, just not in the way your logical mind assumes. As the Arcturians transmit, the human body is not just flesh and chemistry. It is a receiver, a translator, and a vessel that converts frequency into lived experience. When your consciousness begins to expand beyond 3D bandwidth, your system starts processing more data than it did before. Emotional signals, energetic patterns, subtle intentions, timeline probabilities, environmental resonance, and collective noise. You don't have to believe in that for it to happen. Your body already behaves as if it's true, because your body is the first place frequency lands. Think of it like this. Most people live with their internal antennas turned down. They receive only what is loud and obvious. But you, whether you chose it or not, were born with the volume turned up. You walk into a room and you don't just see faces. You feel pressure. You feel tension. You feel what isn't being said. You feel the emotional weather before anyone names it. And when you've done that for years, your nervous system becomes the battlefield where unprocessed energy tries to settle. This is why you feel drained around certain people, even when nothing dramatic happens. Their words may be polite, but their field is chaotic. Their smile may be clean, but their intentions are fragmented. Your body reads coherence faster than your mind can rationalize it. And if you were trained by society, by family, by survival, to override your own sensing, you began calling that inner alarm anxiety. But it wasn't anxiety. It was accuracy without permission. Here's a story that will make this real. Imagine someone who grew up needing to anticipate moods to stay safe. They became extremely perceptive. Later, as an adult, they walk into a meeting and instantly sense that something is off. No one says anything. The conversation is normal. Yet their stomach tightens, their shoulders rise, their breath shortens. They blame themselves. Why am I like this? But later they find out. There was conflict behind the scenes. Someone was being targeted. A decision was already made. Their body knew before the mind had evidence. That is not dysfunction. That is a trained receiver. Now add the Arcturian component. When your light codes begin activating, your receiver becomes even more sensitive because it's recalibrating to hold higher coherence. The upgrade is not gentle at first. It can feel like pressure in the head, waves of emotion, sudden tears without story, cravings to isolate, intolerance to noise, and a deep desire for clean spaces and quiet truth. Those are not signs you're falling apart. They are signs you're refusing distortion. And the biggest mistake you can make in this phase is shaming your body. When you shame your body, you tighten. When you tighten, the energy can't move. When the energy can't move, it turns into fatigue, pain, and emotional fog. The Arcturians emphasize this. Your body needs cooperation, not criticism. So what do you do with this? You begin treating your sensitivity like a skill. You stop forcing yourself to stay in spaces that scramble your field. You stop calling your boundaries being difficult. You stop interpreting your need for solitude as failure. Solitude is not disconnection. It's recalibration. And here is the deeper truth. Your exhaustion has often been the cost of carrying what was never yours to carry. You were the one holding the emotional weight in relationships. You were the one stabilizing the chaos in rooms. You were the one absorbing the unspoken tension so everyone else could pretend it wasn't there. You became the energetic shock absorber, but you're not here to absorb. You're here to transmit. And when you stop absorbing and start transmitting, you'll notice something shocking. Some people will suddenly feel uncomfortable around you, even when you say nothing. Not because you changed your personality, but because your coherence exposes their distortion. There's a specific type of heaviness that doesn't match your life. You can be doing fine on paper, nothing tragic, nothing urgent, yet you feel a wave of sorrow, dread, or pressure like something is wrong. And you look around, searching for a reason, because you were taught that feelings must be justified by events. But as the Arcturians transmit, there are emotions that are not personal. There are sensations that are not psychological. There are burdens that are not yours. Yet they move through your field because you are a sensitive node in a larger energetic network. Let's translate that in practical terms. If you are connected to family, friends, co-workers, or even distant communities, your field can pick up signals before your mind receives the message. You can feel someone's fear before they admit it. You can sense someone's grief before they speak it. You can randomly think of someone, feel emotional, and then later discover they were in crisis at that exact time. Most people dismiss this. They say it's coincidence, but you've lived it too many times for coincidence to explain it. The reason is simple. Your system is built like an antenna, and antennas don't choose what frequencies exist. They choose what frequencies they tune to. When your Starseed blueprint is Arcturian linked, the tuning range is wider. You sense subtlety. You detect incoherence. And when you were younger, you likely didn't have the language to protect yourself, so you absorbed what you sensed. This is why you've had mystery moods. You wake up heavy. You go to sleep heavy. You feel guilty because you can't explain it. And then you try to fix it with productivity, with distraction, with overthinking. But the heaviness remains because it's not a problem to solve. It's information to interpret. The Arcturian approach is not, how do I get rid of this feeling? The Arcturian approach is, what frequency is present, and what is it asking me to do? Sometimes it asks you to leave a space. Sometimes it asks you to drink water and ground. Sometimes it asks you to speak a truth you've been swallowing. Sometimes it asks you to stop being a safe home for other people's chaos. And yes, sometimes it asks you to send coherent intention into a situation you cannot physically control. Here's a story. A person sits at home and suddenly feels their chest tighten. They think, "Am I sick?" They try breathing. It helps a little, but not fully. Then an image flashes in their mind. A loved one driving late at night. They feel a strong inner push to send protection. They close their eyes, visualize a clean blue-white field around that person, and state calmly, "Only coherent timelines, only safety, only clarity." 20 minutes later, the loved one texts, "I almost got into an accident, but something made me slow down." Your mind will call it luck. Your field knows it was alignment. Now, this does not mean you are responsible for everyone. This is crucial. Many starseeds develop a savior reflex. If I sense it, I must fix it. That's an old distortion. The Arcturians do not ask you to become a martyr. They ask you to become a precise transmitter. Precision means you do not absorb. You perceive, you translate, you choose. And the moment you stop absorbing other people's frequency, your energy returns. That alone will change your life. Because much of your exhaustion was the cost of being open when you thought openness was love. But openness without discernment is self-abandonment. So how do you shift? You begin a simple protocol. When heaviness hits, you ask, "Is this mine? If not mine, what boundary is being requested? What would coherence do right now?" Then you act. Sometimes coherence means silence. Sometimes it means leaving. Sometimes it means saying no. Sometimes it means resting without guilt. And sometimes it means one clean sentence. "I can't hold this with you anymore." You'll be surprised how quickly your body responds when you stop betraying its signals. And here is what most people don't expect. When you stop carrying what isn't yours, you don't lose love. You lose distortion. And that's when your real path begins to appear. This is not for everyone. The ebook. The 12 Arcturian Portals is a restricted trilogy created for those who are ready to activate their 5D connection with the Arcturian Masters, not in theory, but in real energetic experience. Inside, you'll access 12 powerful portals, with precise activation protocols, rituals, and practical techniques designed to awaken your stellar DNA and unlock what has been dormant within you. Amplified intuition, direct communication with spiritual guides, energetic expansion beyond the 3D matrix. Warning: once activated, your perception will not return to the previous state. Limited edition. Access can close at any moment. The link to claim your trilogy is in the first pinned comment. If this message reached you, it's not random. There is a reason people have always reacted strongly to you. Some were drawn in instantly. Others felt uncomfortable for reasons they couldn't explain. You may have tried to shrink yourself, soften your voice, dim your truth, act more normal, pretend not to notice what you noticed, just to keep the peace. But peace that requires self-erasure is not peace. It is compliance. As the Arcturians transmit, certain souls are designed not just to survive environments, but to recalibrate them. You are an atmospheric being. Your presence is a tuning fork. When you walk into a room, coherence either rises or distortion becomes visible. And that visibility is what people call intimidating, intense, or too deep. Yet your depth is not a personality quirk. It's a function. Let's make this practical. You've likely had moments where someone starts telling you their life story within minutes of meeting you. People confess secrets without knowing why. You sense tension between two people before they speak. You feel the emotional temperature of a room shift as you enter, You can't tolerate shallow conversation when your soul is asking for truth. This is not you being dramatic. This is you being tuned to reality instead of performance. The problem is that many starseeds learn early. Reality is not always safe, so you develop survival identities. The strong one, the quiet one, the funny one, the unbothered one, the fixer, the listener. And these roles work until your awakening begins. Then those roles feel like suffocation, because awakening is the end of self-abandonment. Here's a story that mirrors what you've lived. A person becomes the emotional anchor for their family. They learn to stay calm, to mediate, to absorb stress, to be the stable one. Everyone relies on them, but inside they feel invisible. Years later, their system starts refusing the role. They begin feeling tired, irritated, emotionally numb. They think, "What's wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong. Their soul is calling them back. The Arcturians call this the return of the original blueprint. When the original blueprint returns, you begin craving clean energy, honest conversation, solitude without guilt, relationships that feel mutual, a life that matches your inner truth. And yes, this is where people try to pull you back. They'll say you changed. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're distant. But what they mean is, you stopped being available for distortion. Now, here's the key Arcturian teaching. You don't need to fight darkness directly. You need to stabilize coherence so strongly that darkness cannot hook into you. Most spiritual warfare people imagine is loud. The Arcturians teach that the most powerful protection is a coherent nervous system. Coherence means your mind, heart, and body stop contradicting each other. You stop saying yes while your field screams no. You stop smiling while your stomach tightens. You stop forcing connection where your soul feels unsafe. You become aligned, and alignment is authority. So your gift is not being sensitive. Your gift is being a calibrator, a stabilizer, a living signal of truth. And the moment you accept that, your life shifts. You stop trying to be liked by everyone. You stop negotiating your reality. You stop explaining your boundaries. You become a lighthouse. Some ships will come home. Some will avoid you. Both outcomes are correct. And when you stop chasing belonging and start embodying coherence, you'll notice something else. Your intuition becomes terrifyingly precise. Not as fear, as clarity. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. If this message ignited something within you, and you feel the call to help carry it to others, you may become a channel member. As a member, you gain access to custom emojis and exclusive members-only videos, and your donation helps us continue building this sacred space. You may also choose to leave your offering as a super thanks. Every seed planted here becomes part of someone else's miracle. Your support is not merely financial, but an act of energetic amplification. All donations are devoted entirely to the maintenance of the channel and the creation of new transmissions and videos. One of the most confusing parts of awakening is the quiet loss. Not always dramatic endings, just a gradual unraveling. Friendships feel empty. Old interests fade. Certain conversations feel unbearable. You stop laughing at things you used to tolerate. You stop wanting to be in places that once felt normal, and you wonder, why am I becoming so different? As the Arcturians transmit, you are not becoming different. You are becoming coherent. And coherence always reorganizes your reality. In 3D culture, people bond through shared wounds, shared distractions, shared complaints, shared survival. But in higher frequency, bonding shifts. You start seeking resonance, truth, mutuality, peace, depth, integrity. And when that happens, your life begins sorting itself. This is what many call isolation. But the Arcturians call it frequency sorting. Frequency sorting is when your field can no longer sustain connections that require you to betray yourself. It's when your body refuses to smile through disrespect. It's when your soul refuses to keep performing. It's when you stop negotiating your inner yes and no. Here's a story. A person has a group of friends who always gossip, mock growth, and keep everything shallow. For years, the person goes along with it to feel included, but after an awakening, they begin feeling sick after every hangout. Their head hurts, their chest feels tight, their sleep breaks, they feel angry for no reason. Then one day, they choose to skip the gathering, and the relief is immediate. Their nervous system finally exhales. That exhale is not being antisocial. It's the body choosing coherence. Now this phase can feel lonely, because the old world falls away before the new world arrives. The Arcturians warn about this liminal space. It's where many people relapse into old patterns just to avoid emptiness. They go back to relationships that drain them. They scroll to numb themselves. They chase validation. They overwork. Anything to avoid the quiet. But the quiet is where your new signal stabilizes. Because when the old dissolves, your field becomes available to receive new connections. Not more people, more aligned people. Not louder opportunities, truer opportunities. Not constant stimulation, deeper expansion. The challenge is, can you trust the pruning? Pruning is not loss. It is precision. It is your life removing what cannot go with you. And yes, some people will misunderstand. They'll say you think you're better. They'll accuse you of changing. But you're not changing to become superior. You're changing to become honest. There is a difference. This is also where you learn a critical skill, discernment without hatred. You can release someone without cursing them. You can leave a space without attacking it. You can say, "This no longer matches my frequency," and walk away clean. Because you're not here to fight everyone. You're here to align, and once you align, the next stage begins. Your gifts start emerging in usable form. Not just feeling things, but translating them into direction. Creative output, leadership, healing presence, energetic clarity, and multidimensional navigation. And here's the wild part. When you accept separation, you stop chasing doors. Doors start finding you. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Let's talk about intuition, because many starseeds confuse intuition with anxiety, and that confusion steals years of trust. Anxiety feels urgent, chaotic, repetitive, and tight. Intuition feels clear, quiet, simple, and steady, even when the message is uncomfortable. Anxiety screams. Intuition whispers. Anxiety loops. Intuition lands. As the Arcturians transmit, intuition is not just a gut feeling. It is a form of timeline awareness. Your higher self reads probability fields, possible outcomes, and sends signals to your body before events manifest. That's why you sometimes know something is off before it becomes obvious. That's why you feel pulled away from a place, a person, a decision. That's why you can sense this will not end well, even when everything looks fine externally. And because society trains you to prioritize logic over sensing, you learn to override your own guidance. You learn to rationalize red flags. You learn to explain away your body's messages. You learn to call your perception overthinking. But your overthinking often began as perception that you didn't trust. Here's a story. A person starts dating someone who seems perfect. Everyone approves. The partner says the right things. But the starseed's body feels tight after every interaction. They feel drained. They feel foggy. They start obsessing. What is wrong with me? Why can't I relax? They stay, because the mind wants proof. Months later, the truth emerges. Manipulation, lies, emotional instability. The body knew on day one. The mind demanded evidence. Arcturian awakening is when you stop requiring pain as proof. Now, your intuition is upgrading, which means you may notice stronger synchronicities, more vivid dreams, sudden downloads of understanding, increased sensitivity to deception, rapid loss of tolerance for misalignment. This can feel intense at first because it removes your ability to pretend. You can no longer lie to yourself and remain comfortable. That's why awakening feels like pressure, because it collapses denial. But this upgrade is a gift. It saves time. It saves energy. It saves your life. The Arcturians teach a practical protocol for intuition calibration. When you receive a signal, don't react. Observe. Ask. Is this tight urgency, anxiety, or calm clarity, intuition? If it's calm clarity, act cleanly and early. If it's tight urgency, regulate your body first, then reassess. Regulation is essential, because your body is the interface. If the interface is overloaded, signals distort. This is why your healing is not separate from your gifts. Your nervous system is the instrument. The cleaner the instrument, the clearer the message. And once your intuition is clear, your path accelerates. You stop entering unnecessary lessons. You stop repeating cycles. You stop giving access to people who leak energy. You stop confusing potential with compatibility. This is where many starseeds experience a leap. Suddenly, they manifest aligned work, aligned friendships, aligned opportunities. Not because they tried harder, but because they stopped betraying themselves. And when you stop betraying yourself, you become dangerous to the matrix. Not through aggression, but through freedom. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. You have lived as a version of yourself that was built for survival. And it worked. It kept you functional. It kept you moving. It kept you from falling apart publicly. But it was not you. It was armor. The quiet you. The guarded you. The hyper-independent you. The over-responsible you. The one who doesn't ask for help. The one who reads the room and adapts instantly. The one who anticipates disappointment before it happens. The one who stays ready for betrayal. Those are survival identities. As the Arcturians transmit, survival identities are not bad. They are intelligent responses to environments that were not coherent. But they are temporary. They are meant to dissolve when safety and alignment return. And right now, your system is dissolving them. This is why you've felt emotional waves. Why old memories resurface. Why you suddenly feel anger at what you once tolerated. Why you feel grief for the version of you that endured silently. Why you crave truth like oxygen. You are not regressing. You are integrating. Integration is when the nervous system stops splitting itself into roles. It brings everything back into one aligned self. And that aligned self is your original blueprint. Your original blueprint is not a fragile person. It is not a timid person. It is a coherent being with clear boundaries, deep compassion, and precise discernment. It is the version of you that doesn't need to prove anything. It simply radiates truth. Here's a story. A person spent years being the peacemaker. They avoided conflict at all costs. They minimized their needs. They stayed agreeable. Then awakening begins. One day, someone crosses a line and the person calmly says, "No." Not yelling, not explaining, just, "No." The room goes quiet. People stare. They say, "Who are you?" And internally the person feels something ancient return. "I am myself." That moment is Arcturian, because the Arcturian identity return is not about ego. It's about coherence. It's about standing in the frequency of truth without needing permission, and when you embody that, you become magnetic to aligned timelines. You stop chasing. You stop proving. You stop performing spirituality. You become a living transmission. Now, this phase also includes a test. Some people will try to activate your old survival self. They'll guilt you. They'll pressure you. They'll create drama to pull you into reaction. The goal is simple. If they can trigger your old self, they can control you. But you're learning a new response. Neutrality with boundaries. Not coldness, not cruelty, just clean energetic sovereignty. The Arcturians call this non-reactive authority. You don't argue with distortion. You don't negotiate with manipulation. You don't explain your boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding you. You simply remain coherent, and your coherence becomes the final answer. And when you remain coherent long